Hello. Hi, everybody. Apologies for the delay. But we are now, and we're going to basically run through and get things up and going. So, yesterday we spoke about the Singularity platform, right? So we spoke about SentinelOne, and kind of going to touch on the same process. But I think what's most important that you need to understand around SentinelOne is how is SentinelOne going to help you within your specific environment? And I think most importantly around that is let's talk around the identification you utilize in a specific program. In today's world, we've got IT managers, but an IT manager that's going to understand and be able to, manage security, the security of the customer's environment or of their own environment in a day. And as an IT, you've got your IT checklist. You need to understand how many assets do you have in your environment. Now, having a tool that be able to do asset discovery for you is quite important at the end of the day. But also having a tool that would be able to do the asset discovery and protection for you is also a very important point. So a lot of my discussions with all of the IT managers, what we find is that a specific framework works phenomenally well for them. So things like the NIST framework or the MITRE attack framework, that works extremely well because it helps them just to classify where they are in that particular journey. So how do you identify not just your assets, but the vulnerabilities or what threat is in your environment? And SentinelOne can do that for you. Or how do you then protect against those vulnerabilities or those threats? Um, Most importantly, how do you detect those threats? And let's talk about that for a second, right? So SentinelOne is built off the MITRE framework. It has a single agent that sits on your endpoint, and that particular agent is constantly working on the back end for you. It's benchmarked up against what the MITRE framework talks about, the specific number of steps that an adversary is going to take to get into your environment. Now, based off that, what MITRE will do extremely well with SentinelOne is say, okay, what is the visibility? How many protection or detections will SentinelOne pick up? And in the MITRE framework, we've got 100% protection, so zero misses on any of the threats or any of the actions that a threat actor might have taken to get into your environment. We pick up 100% of those steps. There's also a zero delay. So, we talk about the ZTNA, Zero Trust Network. Well, this is what SentinelOne's talking about. Zero delay to be able to get to your environment. How are we getting to the environment? Now, number one, we need to figure out, do we trust the individual that is using that machine? Do we trust the person that's logged in onto the environment? And do we trust that that suspicious threat does not turn into a malicious threat? And we utilize our machine learning and AI technology to ensure your environment is protected. There's a whole lot of other marketing slides over here, but marketing slides don't bother me, and I'm sure it don't bother you either. You want to know, can this technology work? So what we have is Singularity XDR. Now I like to talk about SentinelOne as an XDR component and platform because what it does is it incorporates the EPP EDR, your endpoints, whether it's your servers, or if it's the cloud, your traditional assets, and then it also incorporates your third-party applications, and it pulls in all of that data into a single engine. So what we have is an open ecosystem which will give you bidirectional response actions. So whether it is running laterally or running across your environment, we are able to pick up which way this threat is coming from. That's also going to help you to reduce your total cost of ownership. So do a consolidation of your vendors that you've got within your environment. And our unified security data lake is a single platform to pick up every single threat because we are seeing the alerts, pulling the data from every channel within your specific environment. And that's pulled in first off from your endpoints, right? We've got our endpoint and we have the fastest mean time to respond with the most highest accuracy. And why is that important for you? Very simple. At the end of the day, you have a threat, you see this threat, you're trying to figure out, is it a false positive? Is it just something that I don't need to worry about? So you're going to go in and investigate it. You check, okay, took you about 10 minutes. But now you've got a lot of these 10-minute threats that you need to target and look after at the end of the day. Spend maybe 4 or 5 hours working on those particular threats. Meanwhile, in the back end, there's a malicious threat that has come in, and you're going to be only getting to that malicious threat 4 or 5 hours from now. What SentinelOne does phenomenally well is it pulls in all of this data, contextualizes this data that it's got to understand what action needs to be remediated. It's just a suspicious threat, so you don't need to target it. We don't need to send it to the SOC team. We'll just obviously add a remediation process to it. But we got a malicious threat. You need to target that. You need to do checks and balances around that. And through that, it'll help you to eliminate blind spots and let you target what you need to. So streamlining your security and increasing your analyst efficiency at the end of the day, because getting your SOC team to look at the alerts that's needed to reduce your alert fatigue. Right? Okay, happy? Great. Singularity identity. It's very simple. Are you who you're supposed to be? At the end of the day, everybody says when you go to the ATM, keep your bank card safe, keep your PIN safe, keep your ID safe, right? At the end of the day, this is the same concept. Keep your Active Directory as safe as possible. Nobody needs to know your password, right? So put your password in, and nobody needs to. When you do your password, what happens? Your IT manager or the engineer, he turns around while you are entering your password. So why is this important? We can protect your endpoint phenomenally well. But if somebody enters into your Active Directory, that at the end of the day can be catastrophic. Because what will happen is once these adversaries enters into that specific environment, they're going to now lay dormant, elevate themselves to admin privilege, and try and take over your specific environment. SentinelOne does something amazingly well. We will do a scan of your environment, pick up all of those misconfigurations, other indicators of exposure, and it'll also pick up all of your dormant accounts. Once you clean that out, we then now have an agent in there that's going to say, somebody has done an Active Directory query. Why is the salesperson doing that? That's not their job to do any admin on the back end of Active Directory. So that person will be quarantined and moved to our hologram environment. What is our hologram environment? It's our honeypot on steroids. What's amazing about this is the threat actor that's in that environment will not even know he's in a honeypot environment. He's there putting as much information that he can, which is bogus information, we're feeding to him. So we understand his threats and his techniques and his procedures on how and what tools he's using to enter into your environment and what he's trying to do, or how long he's been in your environment and what files he's trying to pull out. So identity is vitally important. And why is identity so important? Well, think about it. 98% of breaches that have happened, somebody was sitting within the Active Directory. Somebody sent a file that you clicked on the link and they said, oh, wow, you've got a Takealot voucher. You clicked on that link and they've entered into that specific environment, sitting within your Active Directory as dormant as they can. So you need a tool that's going to do a couple of things for you, right? Look after your endpoint. Look after your identity environment. Look after your cloud environment, right? So you can pick up your cloud workloads, resilience and the integrity, whether the digital transformation, from your Kubernetes environment and moving to your production environment is looked after. But even more so, how can we get SentinelOne to be your second set of eyes? We've got a SOC environment that will provide adaptability and efficiency, actionable actions as quickly as possible, but also provide incident response for you. And this is all played out in a single view, which is our single platform. Now, comes back to this. Can the product offer you visibility into your suspicious and malicious threats At the end of the day, SentinelOne can do that very quickly, but they can work autonomously on the back end so that it can automatically contextualize, correlate the data, and add a response. Can it play in the cloud? Yes, it can. Can we work on different OSs from Linux, Mac, or Windows? Yes, we can offer that. Can we protect your identity and understand that who's the correct individual in that environment? That yes, we can offer that, and that's on a single platform. But even more so, how about having a vulnerability assessment done today, tomorrow, once a week, once a month? SentinelOne can offer you vulnerability assessment with our technology called Ranger Insight, and soon we're going to be able to do automated remediation. So now we have an agent on an endpoint that can do vulnerability assessment on that endpoint, automatically patch your environment, quarantine your machine if it's picked up any malicious threats, and also figure out, are you the correct person that needs to come into that specific environment at the end of the day. You have a robust technology, and we give you different licensing models that if you work with your current system integrator like NETCB, they would be able to, at the end of the day, tell you whether they could bill you monthly or it could be a flexible licensing model. And then you're going to say, but I also want to figure out, is my current solutions, my current applications that I've got, my current vendors that I have in the environment, are they working for me? SentinelOne can help you with that. Ingest that data into our platform and figure out which of those vendors can be consolidated, or let's keep the vendors at the end of the day. And I think what's most important about this is you've got to try and figure out, is this the technology that I want and will it work for me? I think there's a lot of customers that we've got that will say, yes, SentinelOne is working for me. But I would suggest, come to us, speak to NETCB, let us do a vulnerability uh, assessment in your environment. Let us do a POC in your environment. And if after 2 weeks you find that this technology is not working, kick us out. We're more than happy. But I can guarantee you, after 2 weeks, we will pick up some anomalies that some of your technologies might not have picked up. And that is why you see some of these names at the bottom, these very large names, the reason they are with us. Locally in South Africa, we have quite a few companies that sit in or utilizing the SentinelOne technology, and across Africa, we have quite a few other end customers running SentinelOne within their particular stack. And in a nutshell, that's who we are. That's what we offer. I wanted it just to be a very high level overview. What I would like is if you could come on, speak to the guys from NETCB, and let us do a POC within your specific environment. And I think that's me at the end of the day. Thank you very much, and we'll meet again soon.